Hi, I'm Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville. Welcome to a very special edition of Kibbitzing with Kagan with one of our candidates for county executive. Welcome, Council Member Evan Glass. Thanks for taking the time to chat.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Senator.
Absolutely. So I've got a million questions. I just want everyone to know I'm asking the exact same questions in the exact same order of each of the candidates. And no one has any of the questions in advance. And we are going to start, Council Member Evan, with giving you 1 minute to talk about who you are, what your background is, why you're running, just all the things in 1 minute. And I'm setting a timer and you may begin.
I love it. Well, thank you for having me. I'm Evan Glass, and I've had the honor of serving as a council member at large for the last 7 years, 2 terms. But before that, I grew up on Long Island, New York. I grew up in a home with a single mom who worked 2 jobs to provide for me. And so I know how much our families are struggling. And I ended up coming down to Washington, D.C. to study journalism and got a job at CNN, where I worked for 12 years covering Congress and national politics and learned about local politics when I wanted to fix sidewalks in my own neighborhood. And from that point on, 15, 20 years ago, to now being chair of the Transportation and Environment Committee, life is a journey, and it has been an honor serving the residents of Montgomery County.
Nicely done. You have 14 seconds. You good?
I live in Silver Spring with my husband, Jason, and our 2 rescue beagles, who you might hear during this podcast. I can't tell.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. So again, I'm going to ask you a ton of questions with quick answers. The first question is, or the next question is, tell me about an accomplishment that you're proudest of that hasn't gotten as much attention as you think it deserves.
Well, I'm really proud of a lot of the work that I've done, but if I were to talk about things that don't get recognized, I would say it's constituent services, things that I have helped people get from COVID shots and rental assistance and simply getting potholes fixed. I think when we see the dysfunction that's happening down in Washington, where the government is literally shut down, here in local government and in state government, we have to keep working. We have to teach our kids. We have to pick up the trash. And we have to make sure that people have the resources they need. And so I am really proud that my staff and my office have been helping people throughout my term as a council member.
Okay. That wasn't one thing you were proudest of. Well, we'll take that as
Services.
constituent services. I get it. I get it. What one policy most motivates and inspires you?
Hmm. One policy is equity and fairness, making sure that here in the most diverse community in the country, Montgomery County, that we treat every resident fairly and equally and provide equal opportunity, regardless of zip code, regardless of nationality, regardless of where you pray and who you love. In order to be a diverse place, we need to support that diversity, and that is what I hold with all of my legislation and with all of my policies.
Thank you. This one is a little sticky, I think. For the last 8 years, Mark Elrich has been our county executive. He was term limited because of his tenure. There was a great consensus on that. What do you think has been the biggest failure in Montgomery County by the executive over the past 8 years?
That is sticky. I appreciate the question. I think we've lost track, quite frankly. I think we have rested on our laurels being so close to Washington, D.C., always thinking the federal government would be there and not having to do the housekeeping that is necessary. And now we're seeing what's happening. We have tens of thousands of our neighbors who've lost their jobs, who are at risk of losing their jobs. And we need to make sure that we have a local economy that works for everyone. We have to make sure that we have a tax rate where everyone can afford to remain living in Montgomery County. And those are just a few of the things. But I think the CEO, the county executive of Montgomery County needs to be a manager and needs to make sure that we're running efficiently and making sure that we have a vision for the future.
Thank you. If you could snap your fingers and change one thing, what would you choose?
If I could snap my fingers and change one thing, I would wish Donald Trump was impeached. so that we would not have a second term of Donald Trump, right? That's what I would wish. I wish Republicans in the U.S. Senate who wanted to impeach him but were scared for their own political lifeline, their own political viability. And, as someone who covered Congress and am now in politics, I'm not afraid to speak my mind. I'm not afraid to go against the grain, and I'm not afraid to ask the tough questions. And we don't see that type of courage down on Capitol Hill these days.
Shifting to a policy issue, Montgomery County has struggled with economic development, whether that's jobs, businesses, nonprofits, all that. What is one creative idea you have to improve our economic development efforts?
First thing I will do as county executive on day one is hire a director of permitting services who's going to go through years of regulation that were put in place with very good intention. Things that 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago were meant to help and support our local ecosystem. But now in the year 2025, they're outdated and they're hindering us. Small businesses should not have to hire a lawyer or a lobbyist to open a restaurant. But that's the ecosystem we've created here. And that's why I created the Economic Development Committee when I was president of the council to dig into these systems. And, we need a technocratic approach to making sure that we streamline, cut red tape, and make sure that local government is able to help our local businesses again.
Um, our current county executive has been unsuccessful in Annapolis. Can you talk about what you would do differently to work with the Senate and House in Annapolis?
I
And
appreciate
governor,
that.
sorry. Yeah.
I appreciate that question. Governing is a team exercise, and we need people at the municipal, county, and state levels and federal levels to be working together. I'm proud of all of the relationships and partnerships I have in Annapolis and here in Rockville as well. That has led to, supporting infrastructure projects. It has led to funding and also led to safer roads on certain state highways. But ultimately, what I appreciate about our state delegation, our senators and delegates, is that we are all on one team and we are trying to help make Montgomery County the strongest it can be and also make Maryland as strong as it can be. And sometimes there's a balance between the two, but that's what conversations are about. That's what going to Annapolis is about. And mostly that's what picking up the phone and talking to people is about. And I'm proud to have good relationships with everybody in Annapolis.
Thank you. Ironically, and you just referenced this, what is a specific way that you would partner with Montgomery County's cities and towns?
Yeah.
As the senator from Gaithersburg and
There
Rockville.
you go. Two of the best municipalities in the state.
Amen.
As an at-large council member, I am extremely proud of the fact that during my tenure, I travel throughout the county, and people recognize I'm in Up County all the time. In my campaign for county executive, I am running a full county campaign where I am in Poolsville as much as I'm in Tacoma Park. I'm in Bethesda as much as I'm in Burtonsville. And the municipal leaders who I talk with very regularly, I recognize that every community has different needs. And I think as an at-large council member, I'm very qualified that when I get to become county executive, I know what those needs are and I'll continue expanding those partnerships and relationships.
This was my next question. You've kind of already referenced it, but because I'm asking the exact same questions of everyone,
Right.
the next question was, what would be your priority right after being sworn in? So maybe you want to give a second answer to that.
Yeah, so first and foremost, it is revamping our economy and hiring leaders of my cabinet who are able to get to work on day one. And economic development is something we have to start on day one. Second thing that the county executive will have to do immediately is start working on the budget. And because I will be coming in after the county executive, Mark Elrich, completes his budget, I expect there'll be a lot of work I have to do. And so I will start looking at that $7.6 billion budget. I'm sure it might be $8 billion in the next 18 months or so. But the county executive is where the buck stops. And I think this county executive has passed the buck too often. So it's come down to the council to ask the tough questions. As one of 11 council members, shouldn't be the first person asking a question about Montgomery County Public Schools and what their $100 million contracting line item is for. But I was the first one to publicly ask that question, which is very late in the process. So after permitting services, I'm going to start looking at that budget, bringing in all stakeholders, and making sure that it's ready for prime time.
Thank you. Um, what person or entity do you think is key to the success of a county executive?
What person or entity is key to success? Well, first I'll say my husband. You need love and nurturing when you get home after a very long day. So I love you, Jason. Secondly, I think it is Chief Administrative Officer. And I would even say it is the council and having good relationships with members of the council because we are all on the same team. And as you probably know, the way our charter is defined, it is actually the council that has more statutory authority in our local government than the county executive. The county executive is essentially a manager and manages our large government and bureaucracy. But you have to work very closely with all 11 members of the council in order to make big things happen.
Shifting to the campaign, other than fundraising, because that's too easy. Other than fundraising, what is your least favorite part of campaigning?
Least favorite part. It is early mornings and late nights, going to breakfasts, going to meet and greets almost every single night, and then coming home and wondering why I didn't have time to walk my dogs. But I don't know if you're going to ask what the best thing is, but it's because I'm gone most of the day. I get to meet people, I get to talk with people, and most importantly, I get to listen to people. And so there's two sides to this coin. I do miss the daily walks with my dogs and my husband, but I do enjoy talking to people and listening to their concerns.
Okay. Another kind of awkward question here, but I think sometimes this is what gives people a sense of humanity.
Okay.
Is there one vote or statement that you've made in your career that you wish you could have a do-over?
Ooh, wow, on the spot. Um, I've tried to live my life without regrets. And what that typically means is I might not be the first person to jump out with a statement saying that I support something or I oppose something or we must do something. And the reason for that is because I give thoughtful deliberation to it. I recognize that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. I recognize that in our diverse community, there are a lot of different opinions. Among the 1.1 million people, we might have 2.2 million opinions here. Um, and I want to make sure that what my decision is, first and foremost, aligns with my moral compass. But more importantly, I want to be able to explain it to people and explain to people why I'm making a statement or taking an action. And that typically means it might be a little slower than other people. But when I have figured out what the right approach is, I share it, I communicate it, and ultimately I try to change hearts and minds and get people to realize why my approach and my policy is the right one. And I use communication as the way to do that.
Okay. Um, I've been working on, as you know, 911 for forever, and now we're moving hopefully forward with a statewide 311. Montgomery County is one of 6 counties that has 311. How do you think it's working, and what do you think it does best?
It remains a work in progress, 311. I believe it was created with very good intention to try and centralize systems. What I very much appreciate is getting the monthly reports that
Mhm.
show most people actually call. Do you know what most people actually call about?
Go for it.
Trash collection. They
Yep.
actually call for trash collection and say they haven't gotten it or what the issue is. But
Mhm.
as technology continues to improve, I think we need to continue improving the systems.
Mhm.
But it was created with very good intention. And much like government and business, there's always room for self-improvement. So we need to just keep updating the process.
Yep. So our plan is to use AI and provide a statewide system. It's very exciting. Just a few more questions before we go to the Fast Five.
Okay.
Offering you a chance to give a shout out to any nonprofit in the county that you personally support that some folks might not have heard about, whose mission you really are enthusiastic about.
Sure. Well, right now, I want to give a shout out to all of our food recovery systems, right? With SNAP benefits ending by the time this video airs, we have 70,000 of our neighbors who are relying on food assistance, and we need to make sure that everybody has food on their table. That is the minimum that local government and state government can do, making sure people are not hungry. And so, not naming one, but recognizing that there is a vast network in our community, I encourage people to get involved and to donate.
Great. I'm going to do set my time clock one more time and give you 1 minute to answer any question that I haven't asked or make one other statement on any topic, and then we'll go to Fast Five. You may begin.
So I'll share with you two things that I am extremely proud of having served on the county council. First was legislation I introduced and you championed at the state, and that's pay equity, making sure that our hardworking employees are paid fairly because I learned that the county was unfairly treating women and people of color by requiring them to submit their pay stubs, and that there were people of color and women who were getting paid tens of thousands of dollars less than their male counterpart for doing the same job. And so my first piece of legislation, the Pay Equity Act, prohibited that. And we've learned that in the last 3 years, there's no wage gap among new employees in Montgomery County.
Nice.
And for me, that's personal because if my mom was only paid fairly in her first job, maybe she
Mhm.
wouldn't have had a second job. And to know that I'm helping so many people here in the county. And the second thing I'm really proud of is, transit equity and
Okay,
making.
that's what we
Oh,
got.
there we
So,
go.
okay,
Oh, with that one
okay,
minute,
that was it.
there we go.
All
Okay.
right. All right. Council member Evan Glass, it is, and we're going to be eager to hear more about transit equity, but another time, not now. It is time for your Fast Five. Five quick questions, five quick answers to help folks get to know a little bit more about you personally. Question number one, what is the best advice you've ever gotten from a mentor?
Be true to yourself.
Okay. Question two, who is a shero or hero of yours who does not live in Montgomery County?
Shiro of mine who does not live in Montgomery County. I just have to say my mother is my hero because of her unconditional love for me, her devotion, and she passed away far too soon. She was 53 years old, and she's my guiding light in politics.
Lovely. I'm so sorry. Question number three. Where do you go to get off the grid in order to relax?
Jason and our dogs, we go hiking. And so whenever I have the time, which is minimal these days, we'll find one of Montgomery County Park trails. We'll take the dogs and just get out and try to unplug for an hour or two.
Great.
So many good trails. We got about 200 miles of trails in Montgomery County.
Yep. Question number four. What is your favorite local Montgomery County event that you look forward to each year?
Favorite Montgomery County event? Oh my gosh, you're making an at-large council member pick
I
my
know,
favorite
that's
event.
tough.
I was very recently at Gaithersburg Oktoberfest, and I love Oktoberfest. It is the best of what community is, right? And people coming together, local businesses, music, and
Mhm.
good people. Well done, Gaithersburg.
Yes, they do their events very well. Um, Question number five, the question I ask all of my guests, Council Member Evan Glass, what is your hidden secret superpower? What is a skill or talent you have, something you're really good at that most folks can't do?
I think my superpower is listening. And it is something that I was trained to do as a journalist. And I think, especially in politics, most elected officials listen for when they can then speak. But what I do is listen to people as they're speaking to me. And I hear what they're saying, but then I also understand what they're really trying to tell me. And that I think is what has enabled me to kind of cut through the noise, to understand the actual issues people are concerned about and figure out a solution to help them and their community.
Right. All right. So I'm just going to ask you to, I'm going to offer you the opportunity to give your social media before we go. So if you, viewers, listeners on YouTube or Apple Podcasts or now on Spotify, are interested in learning more about County Executive Candidate, Council Member Evan Glass, where should they be going?
All my social media is Evan M as in Matthew Glass. Evan M Glass. Find me on all platforms and I'm there.
Excellent. So you can learn more, read more, donate, volunteer, all the things. The primary election is next June. The general election is November, and the new county executive will be sworn in December. So with that, Council Member Evan, thank you so much for taking the time to kibitz today. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Senator Kagan. I appreciate you and appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely. See you soon. Take care.